In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw in Photopea using 1-point perspective. Our first step is to create a new layer that our horizon line will be in. So we're going to create a new layer using this button and double-click the text and call it Horizon. Then we are going to take our brush tool. Our brush tool should be 5 pixels wide with a hardness at 100%. You should make your brush red. So you're going to click on this color picker icon and click red and then click OK. To create our horizon line, what we are going to do is start off on one side of the page around the middle. You're going to hold down Shift on your keyboard and drag your mouse horizontally across your page. By holding Shift, no matter where I move my mouse, it's going to move straight across my page. That is my horizon line. Then I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it Vanishing Point. As we already learned, the vanishing point is the point where all lines recede to and disappear. We are going to change our brush to be 30 pixels wide. 30, still with a hardness of 100. And we're going to change our color to be yellow. Then around the middle of our page, you can be off to one side or the other a little bit. You're simply going to click your mouse right in the middle of your horizon line. So you can see right here. Here, I can zoom in. Oh. That my horizon line, or my vanishing point, is there in yellow. Now I need to start creating some boxes. So I'm going to create a new group this time. So I do that right here. Third button down says New Folder. And I'm going to call this folder Box 1. I'm going to click on Box 1 and then click New Layer. We can see here that this layer is inside of the Box 1 folder. This layer is going to be called Front. Then we need to select a color for our first box. I think I'm going to go with pink. So I'm going to find a color I like. Yeah, that looks nice. And then I'm going to click OK. I need to make sure my brush size is changed back to 5 pixels, still with the hardness of 100. Then I'm going to hold down Shift and hold and press with my mouse. Oh, you see there, that is what happens when you have clicked between 2 points. So I'm going to show you more about that later. So I'm going to Control Z to undo. I'm going to click down with my mouse, hold down Shift on my keyboard, and drag across a bit. Then I'm going to hold Shift again and drag up. let go of my mouse, let go of my shift key, then click down with my mouse again, hold down shift, and drag across. Then I'm going to go back to where I started, click down with my mouse, then hold down shift, and drag up. You can see here, I have created a rectangle. My two last steps are to take my eraser tool. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to make my eraser 40. And I'm simply going to erase out these extra lines that I don't need. Then I'm going to find my paint bucket tool. I will find it if I right click on the gradient tool. Here is the paint bucket. All I need to do is click inside my rectangle. It's really important that you make sure that your rectangle is closed, because if my rectangle has a gap in its side and I go and I use the paint bucket tool, it's going to fill my whole page, and that's not what I want. So we need to make sure that our rectangle is completely closed before we use the paint bucket tool. So that's the front of our box. Next, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call it side. I'm going to grab my brush tool and select my color picker. And this time I want my color to be lighter. So I'm going to move towards the left, towards the lighter side of my square. So we can see that this new color I've selected is lighter than my first color. And then I'm going to click OK. I'm going to start by clicking in the top corner of my rectangle that is closest to my vanishing point. And then I will hold down shift. I'm going to click directly on my vanishing point. Keep holding down shift, and I'm going to click on the other corner of my rectangle. That is what happens when you hold down shift. It will create a straight line between the last 2 points you connected. Now, if I go and I take my paint bucket now, this isn't going to work because I haven't closed my new shape. There are still more steps to go. So I'm going to undo, and I'm going to grab my paintbrush. I need to draw 2 more lines. I need to draw a vertical line on this edge of my rectangle by holding down by holding down my mouse, then hold down shift, and then drag straight up. For my final line, I need to select how wide I want my box to be. I'm going to select a point in the triangle I've created, click down with my mouse, hold down shift, and then drag vertically straight up. Now, when I grab my paint bucket, I will fill just the side of the box. My last step is to grab my eraser and simply erase my extra lines. I can also use the eraser by holding down shift and clicking with my mouse to erase quickly. There we have it, one box. Next, I'm going to show you how to draw a box that is entirely below the horizon line. So I'm going to create a new group, new folder. I'm going to call it box 2. And then I'm going to create a new layer and call it front. This time, I think I want my box to be green. There we go, and I'll click OK. I'm going to start just like before. I'm going to hold down on my mouse, and then hold Shift on my keyboard and drag across. Then I'm going to click down with my mouse, hold down Shift, and drag up. Again, hold down with my mouse, hold down Shift, drag across. And last, hold down with my mouse, hold down Shift, and drag up. I can use my paint bucket tool to fill my box and my eraser tool to clean up any extra lines. Notice that my box is below the horizon line. Then I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call it side. I'm going to go to my color picker, and I'm going to move to the left to select a lighter color. You can see this is lighter than my first color, and click OK. Just like before, I'm going to click in the corner of my box that is closest to my vanishing point, hold down Shift, and click directly on my vanishing point. Hold down Shift again, and click down to the bottom corner of my box. Then click down with my mouse, hold down Shift, drag vertically. One more time, select where my box will end. Click, hold down Shift, and drag vertically. I'm going to grab my paint bucket tool, fill that section that I just made, and then use my eraser tool to erase out my extra lines. So this is exactly what we did for our first box, but this box looks wrong. Think about why that is. If you thought that this box was missing a top, then you are correct. We need to add one more layer and call it top. Then we're going to take our color picker, move to the left again, and select a color that is even lighter, and click OK. Finally, we are going to go with our brush tool and click on the furthest top corner of our box from the vanishing point. Click, hold down Shift, click on the vanishing point, continue holding Shift, and go to the other top corner of our box. Then you will hold down with your mouse, hold down Shift, drag across the page, and then you're going to find the back corner of the side of our box. Hold down with your mouse, hold down Shift, and drag across. Take your paint bucket, fill this shape, grab your eraser, erase your extra lines. You can see here I erased a little too much. So Control Z to undo, click, Shift click, Shift click, erase out this little bit here. And there we have it, a box with 3 sides. Last, I'm going to show the same thing with a box that is above the horizon line. I'm going to create a new folder, call it box 3. Create a new layer called front. I'm going to make this box blue. All right, I start just as before. I start with a rectangle. Click down with my mouse, hold Shift, drag across, hold down with my mouse, hold Shift, drag up, hold down with my mouse, hold Shift, drag across, hold down with my mouse, hold Shift, drag up, paint bucket to fill, eraser to clean up, that is the front of my box. Next, I create a new layer and call it side. I'm going to select a lighter color with my color picker. So move to the left, click OK. Going to start with the upper corner that is closest to the vanishing point. Click, hold down Shift, click on the vanishing point. Continue holding Shift. Click on the lower corner closest to the vanishing point and click. Then I'm going to click down with my mouse, hold Shift, drag directly up, select where I want my box to end, click with my mouse, hold Shift, and drag down. With my paint bucket, I will fill the side, and then I'm going to grab my eraser to clean up. So click, Shift, click, click, Shift, click, and then just a little wipe to clean up anything extra. There we go. Similar to our last box, this box will also have a third side, but this time it's going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to create a third side, new layer, and call it bottom. I'm going to go to my color picker, and this time I'm going to select a darker color than I started with. So I'm going to move downward to find something darker, and I'm going to click OK. Just like before, I'm going to select one of the corners that is closest to my vanishing point. Click, hold down Shift, click on the vanishing point. Then hold down Shift, click to my other corner that is closest to my vanishing point. And then I'm going to click down with my mouse, hold Shift, drag across, find where my box ends on its side, put my mouse there, click down with my mouse, hold Shift, and drag across. Use my paint bucket to fill the bottom. Oh, so we can see here, I didn't close it all the way. So I need to go back with my paintbrush and redraw my lines to find out where I went wrong. So I'm dragging across. I'm going to draw my diagonals again. Sometimes it helps to really zoom in. You can use your hand tool to move around your view and see what happened. Yeah, so I can see I've got a slight opening right here. I'm just going to use my paintbrush to fill it. Now, when I use my paint bucket, there we go. All right. Final step, grab your eraser, clean up your lines. Remember, Control Z is your best friend. All right, there we go. 3 boxes, all going to the same vanishing point in 1 point perspective. Now it's your turn to give it a try. Follow these steps and see how it goes. When you are done, turn in this project or this activity in Google Classroom.